Well, hello and welcome to Everything You've Learned About Dating and Relationships is Wrong. My name is Jonathan Asley, and I'm a personal development coach specializing in dating and relationships for those in midlife. And if you want to know what midlife is, it's after baby making years and before retirement. So if you're 42 to 69, you're in the right place. Our topic today, why men intentionally betray and deceive women. All right, I know the topic sounds racy and probably a little bit irritating, so I just want you to know it's a tiny little bait and switch. I'm letting you know this up front, okay? Now let me just tell you where I got the idea for this video. And I was watching a movie recently called The Ghosts of Girlfriends Past with Matthew McConaughey. And Matthew McConaughey plays the quintessential player, and he goes through a Christmas Carol kind of experience where he's visited by three ghosts. But what's so interesting is the beginning of the movie starts off with him breaking up with three women at the same time doing video conferencing, which I thought was hilarious because the women weren't really upset with him that he was dating three women. They were just upset with him how he broke up. And then the movie goes on for him to experience his childhood, his midlife, and then potentially his future of what his life is going to look like. And it gave an opportunity to reflect on what was going on and why he became a player. And when we went underneath the surface, what happened was he was traumatized in his childhood. Something happened that shut him off to wanting to connect with women. And while this is just a movie, I want you to know that this is really true in many cases. And by the way, this isn't, being betrayed or deceived, whether you're a man or woman, this goes both ways. But oftentimes people that behave poorly to another person, it's because something happened in their childhood or early on in their life that caused them to shut down, to disconnect. And here's what I want to say, because I intentionally wrote the title to kind of agitate you, because I truly believe nobody intentionally wants to hurt another human being. I don't believe they intentionally set out to do that. I don't think they go into the process that way. They might be unconscious. They might be ambivalent. They might be, unaware, that sort of thing. And I just mean unaware of how their actions affect another human being. I think it takes a certain level of awareness to recognize the consequences of our actions. And I think most people are myopic. They're in blinders. I don't think they're doing it maliciously. But what fascinates me, and this happens so often, that I see women post on the page or they make comments where they were betrayed, they were deceived, and they were hurt. And look, I'm not condoning that whatsoever. I'm not condoning bad behavior. What I'm frustrated with is the badge of honor that victimhood is carried after a betrayal or a deceit. There's almost a self-righteousness that begins to happen. And what happens is that perpetuates into more and more, not just behaviors, but opportunities for having it happen again and again. And what I find fascinating, and I've been doing a deep dive into this concept of opposites attract. And it occurred to me what I believe now what that really means. And that is, if one of us is lacking self-love or true love for oneself, we're going to attract someone who doesn't love us so we can shift to the opposite feeling of self-love. When someone gets betrayed or deceived, I'm not saying it's, I'm not saying it's a blessing per se, but it is a gift, because it's an opportunity to look inward and say, how can I not blame the other person? How can I not point the finger at them and look inward and say, how can I make my life full and rich and so awesome that nobody would even want to do that with me? It's an opportunity for self-love. In fact, I'm starting to think that the law of attraction is also, this idea that we attract who we are. I think we attract what we need to learn within ourselves. And we will choose people that are the opposite of what we want. Let me say that opposites attract is usually the opposite of what we want, because we need the healing to step back into our own self-love and just love in general. Many people are holding on to a lot of fear, anxiety, hurt, victimhood, because they were betrayed or deceived. And again, I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying it's time to let that go, okay? You've said your piece, you vented it, now move on from that relationship and say, how can I fill my own love cup? How can I make my life so wonderful? How can I make my life so wonderful that I become the reality TV show people want to watch? That's the real benefit of when this happens. Now look, again, I'm not condoning it, so I know some of you might get agitated by this. I'm really saying that anytime these little disrupts, like a ghosting, or someone who didn't call back, or someone that dated for a short period of while and broke up with you, whether man or woman, maybe someone genuinely did use you, okay? Maybe that did happen. They were malicious. It happened, okay? You can choose to live in that cycle and talk about it and talk about it and talk about it and talk about it, which means you'll just keep getting more and more and more of it. Or you can change, you can flip the story, you can flip into something new. Slip into something new, slip into a new outfit of love for within yourself. And look, this is a practice. As one who's practicing this every day, I was on a call this morning and I was beating myself, like that little voice in my head was beating myself up. And thankfully it only lasts about 10 to 15 seconds, because in the past it used to last for 2 or 3 days. I would beat myself up for feeling stupid, which is just not loving myself. Oftentimes we find it easier to love others and not ourselves. And that's what I'm really getting at here. How can we love ourselves more? How can we embody what we want by becoming what we want? Instead of looking for Mr. or Mrs. Right, become Mr. or Mrs. Right in your life, and that person will naturally want to be with you. And if you don't attract that person, it's usually an opportunity to step back into more love within yourself. I know this sounds like rhetoric, blah, 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 but come on. Come on. Make that choice. Make that choice to stop blaming the other person, or blaming men in general, or blaming the internet process, or blaming chemistry, or blaming oxytocin and all that stuff. Just start shifting to that love within yourself. It's not going to happen overnight. As they say, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. Choose a practice of self-love every day and watch your happiness and joy improve each and every day. I know it's working for me, and I invite you to do the same. All right, I know it was a racy title to get your attention. I hope you get the gist of what I was talking about. I'd love to create a conversation about this, so please post a comment here, write whatever you want. Even if you don't like what I had to share, say it, it's okay. I'd love to hear your comments. And if you'd like to get involved with my Midlife Love Mastery community, go to my website, jonathanaslay.com. Click on the button to learn about Midlife Love Mastery. It's a low-price membership group where we get to interact with each other every day through Facebook, and I host monthly calls where it's live Q&A where you get to talk to me. And if you want to talk to me privately, then reach out in a message with me. Let's get on the phone. Let's see if I can help you and attract an amazing relationship in your life. I know my last 2 clients who set up appointments with me, literally met men within days after scheduling the call. That's what happens when you make the shift. As always, I want to leave you with a big, gigantic Jonathan Bear hug, wishing you a super duper wonderful day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye now.